Hello, my beautiful guys and dolls, and welcome to an episode of Before the Curtain. I'm your host, Abby Campbell, and we are here to discover the passion behind the performance. Artists of all backgrounds will share their stories about what it takes to create, survive, and thrive in the competitive world of entertainment. Finding inspiration in their journeys, we aim to bring you everything that happens before the curtain. Today, my friends, we have a powerhouse of an artist and a person. Born in Wyoming and raised in Houston, she has degrees in dance and English from Point Park University's Conservatory of Performing Arts in Pennsylvania. She's worked on cruise ships based in Canada and Alaska, whilst living between LA and Pittsburgh. She's part of SAG-AFTRA, having worked in voiceover, stunts, and dance. Just a few of her credits include The Weeknd, Ariana Grande, Mac Miller, Wiz Khalifa, Paula Abdul, Apple, Garmin, American Horror Story, Fox's Live, The Greatest Showman promo, NBA awards, CW's In the Dark, and many, many, many more. She was brought to Vegas in the inaugural cast of Silent House's Awakening at the Wynn in 2022 and is now a local fire artist, dancer, filmmaker, and places an emphasis on her choreography. She's been in multiple shows on and off the strip, and in recent years started her own production company, BN Creative, and has her own fitness business. However, she is here with us today because aside from her passion of performing, she also has a deep compassion for helping her community. She has heavily been involved in civil rights advocacy, labor rights for entertainers, humanitarian charities, and volunteering for a host of nonprofits throughout her lifetime. She also helps foster and transport rescued and injured animals. She was a people-to-people student ambassador, student government conservatory at-large rep, president pro tempore, secretary judicial board rep, finance committee rep, and again, many, many more. As a union, entertainment, laborer, small business owner, and solution-driven leader, she is excited at the opportunity to bring those solutions to Nevada. Running for lieutenant governor, my friends, please help me welcome to the mic the incomparable BridgieNix.
Hey, thank you for having me today. Also, I'd love to hear you say humanitarian charities 5 times in a row.
Oh, Jesus. No matter what, I always mess up or trip on something in the intro.
That was
but
great.
It's okay.
No, you killed that. I was like, ooh, this is a tough one to say. Thank you for having me today. I am so excited to be in this space, sharing this seat with so many creative legacies before me. This is really exciting.
Oh, I'm excited you're here. I have so many questions.
Yes, let's go.
So you've always had that space in your heart for helping.
Yes. Yeah, I think I came out of the womb like that. Like, I think before I could talk, I was already planning, like, what can we do? How can we improve the world?
Oh, I love that. So what was your, how have you balanced that plus performing?
You know, it's so funny. A lot of people ask me that, and the most my dad. My dad's always like, okay, well, how does this work? How are you getting work right now? How are we balancing the campaign? And it's one of those things where we always see those quotes on Instagram, depending what your algorithm's giving you, that's like, follow your heart, surrender to the universe, don't fight what's being thrown at you. And I love to fight. I love to be like, this is the plan, this is what we're doing. And when I overly plan and I'm like this, and this, headshots, whatever, it never works out. When I surrender and I'm just like, this is naturally what I'm good at, this is naturally what my heart speaks to, the two worlds intertwine. And they have since like elementary, I feel like. You know, I was heavily involved in clubs as early as like 8.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And, you know, I've been dancing since I was 3. And there is so much crossover because I think about like one of the first charity events I ever performed at was Dancers Against Cancer. And, you know, I was pretty young, like elementary or junior high. And I think dancers give so much to the community. I always say that dancers dance for 3 reasons: for your own personal mental health, because you love performing for others and maybe you love being a star, or you love to give something to others. And I think if you've made it this far and you're at the professional level, most of us are the 3rd category. We love to give to people. We love to take people out of the realities of what's going on in their lives, the world, and for a second, put them in just this fantasy land. And so I think with that, there is a lot of crossover between dancers giving back to the community and just natural philanthropy that we do.
Do you know Furley?
Yes.
I took one of her classes. I can't say recently. I don't even remember when it was. It was months ago.
I feel like anything in 5 years is still recent.
Yep.
Okay, true. Okay,
I'm like,
that's recent.
Yeah, that's recent. But she had this massive emphasis on like, it's such a service.
Yeah.
Like the people in the audience need this.
Yes.
You know, they are here to receive that? So what are you giving them? And she had such a good theme over her class. So thanks, Furley. But
Yeah.
it just like, it always changed my mind because in the shows that I'm in currently, there's a midnight show, and that midnight show, tired. I've done 4 shows
Wow.
prior to that, and I'm tired.
Oh
So
my
like, I remember
gosh.
after that class having that mindset of like, no, you're giving, like you're
Yes.
servicing that the little change of mindset
Yeah.
is so interesting as well.
And here they like to kind of separate it. Like you're either like for show business or an entertainer. And I'm like, no, we're still service industry. You know, and people are like, but you're doing what you love. And I'm like, yes, we got lucky that there's, again, what we love is serving people. But I think back to actually when we met at Danny Maloney's Heart Space, and what we're doing there is like really what we love. But that's not necessarily the kind of stuff that we're doing on the stage. One is very like glitzy glam show business, and the other one is very like moody emo, like I have feelings, you know? And so I do like to constantly remind people outside of our industry that we work for or that hire us, like, oh no, this is still a service. We are providing you a labor service to serve tourists, essentially. That's what we be doing. I'm just saying.
Facts. So have you ever not been part of some type of nonprofit or held some type of position as a rep throughout your career?
Yeah, I go through phases because burnout is real, and we know how that is. I mean, dancers in general, across the board, all industries, whether you're working in nonprofit or for-profit, are highly underpaid. And, you know, so what we have to do to make ends meet is typically take some extra jobs, or, you know, maybe you have a really good on-camera job, you luck out, so you're good for a couple of months. But I go in and out of it because you know, you have to fill up your own cup before you can fill up other people's cups. And it took me a really long time to learn that. I'm an empath, I'm a people pleaser, and like decades to really come through of like, oh, I am not doing my best as a giver sometimes because I'm not giving to myself. So I definitely take breaks, you know, with volunteerism and stuff like that. The animals, I don't know though. They've always been there. I've always rescued. They find me. The animals, I swear, they have like a messaging system and they contact each other like, yo, this is the girl. You need help. Go find her. And I'm like, oh, found another one.
They found their outlet.
They find. They know.
They were like, this is the plug. This is the
plug. One time we were coming back from the movies and we had just found a dog. I ran into oncoming traffic between like an on-ramp onto the highway. And I was like, stop. And this little tiny dog, kind of like the 2 I just found outside your house. But this little tiny dog was crossing traffic. And I was with my partner. We pulled over, double parked. And I just got off of a fire shift. So I'm in my heels. I have crazy fire makeup. And I am running in my heels on broken rocks. And I was like, Must get this dog. I chased this dog under the underpass, left my car on the on-ramp, just double parked, all the way into like the back streets of a side area of Vegas to get this dog. Find the dog, and I have 4 cats. At the time I had 3 cats, but separate them because, you know, you can't just like throw a dog with a bunch of cats. Fast forward, we were able to reunite it with the owner. We went down this like deep detective database of the Facebook groups of animal rescue. And then like 2 weeks later, because I'm always like, okay, no new animals. We're taking a break. 2 weeks later, we come back from like the movies, and I cannot make this up. There's this dog just perched on the driveway, or not dog, sorry, cat, perched on the driveway next to me, staring at me as I pull it. And I know the neighbors don't have a cat. And he was just staring. I was like, oh no. And again, my boyfriend was like, oh no. We parked the car and I step out and he's like, doop, doop, doop. And he just runs up to my feet and looks at me with like, help me eyes. And I was like, I got you, boo. But I was able to reunite him with his owner as well.
He got the address, though.
Yes, the network worked.
That's incredible.
The cat telepathy.
That's one of those secret superpowers.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, okay. That's funny. So, what have you noticed being the biggest difference between the LA world and the Vegas world in terms of entertainment?
Pay, labor standards, like and this comes down to state laws. The state laws in Nevada prevent us from making more money. There are state laws that legalize wage theft against entertainers, not exclusive to entertainers, but entertainers are dominantly the ones that have to deal with it. And Yeah, and the presence of a union, granted, for any viewers out there, there is no live entertainment union for dancers, right? You have SAG-AFTRA, which is for film, camera. You have AGMA, which is mainly, it's going to be actually a lot more nonprofit companies, like dance companies, are joining AGMA, even though it's technically a music union, which is kind of cool to see. Dallas Black Dance Theater recently went union. I don't know if you know about that, but their dancers actually went on strike, all of them. Their whole company went on strike, and they were asking just not even big ass, just slightly better pay, slightly less rehearsal hours, preserving their body, stuff like that. They fired their whole company. The story is much longer. And then obviously it's not legal in the United States of America to fire people for unionizing, but everyone does it. Nevada does it heavily. We just heard about this with Chippendales here as well. And so what ended up happening, though, is the company had to go union because they almost lost their dance space in Dallas because they had paid $1 a month for their complex because it was funded by the city. So because, they were violating federal law, labor laws, they almost lost their funding. They had to unionize. And now, there's some really beautiful regulation added in where it's like at the first day of every 2 weeks of rehearsals, the head of the company has to come in and make an announcement about their labor rights, which I love. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like the people who go on strike, the people that speak out, the people that fight the fight, they never reap the benefits, right? They all got fired. They did get a settlement pay too. They all got paid out, which is beautiful.
Yep.
But of course it comes at the cost of them. Like the company tried to pinpoint it on 2 of the dancers, talk trash about them. And we know this story, a tale as old as time. That's the beautiful thing about LA is you will get canceled for that. So what gets you in trouble here will get you praised in LA. And so even though there's still so much room for improvement in LA because within the film industry, we're still at the bottom. We're below models, we're below actors. I would say the only people that get treated worse than dancers are PAs. They need to unionize too. But within the dance industry, film is the highest. Excuse me, hairball.
Okay.
It comes with a house of cats. I got 4 cats, so you never know. Quick hairball coming up. But yeah, I would say the biggest difference is even a non-union job in LA still follows what we call Dancers Alliance. For any listeners or young dancers out there, Dancers Alliance is not a union, but it is a volunteer organization that sets the minimum standard pay. And no job in Nevada meets even, I think, half of Dancers Alliance. I think Drag Race is the closest one, but I know that they still have had some things in recent years where they have had their contracts tightened a little bit. And so the benefits that they received 5 years ago, not as much anymore. And so it's interesting because when I first moved out here, I was like, it sucks. We just need the groups to unionize, come together. And because we work so hard, right? 10 shows a week is insane. Nowhere else in the world does it.
Insane.
Nowhere else, because you can't. It's not sustainable. It's why everyone out here is constantly getting surgeries. It's why these shows have so many people on workers' comp, but they're also being run by people who have never danced a day in their life. So they're treating us the same way they would treat someone polishing silver and doing other things. They're not treating us the same way that the Raiders are treating their athletes. And even though LA does not pay us the way the Raiders are getting paid, they at least recognize that if we overwork our dancers, we will have none. Because it is an art, yes, but it's a sport, and we must treat it as both equally. And so what I've really learned is it's not just the casinos that are to blame. It's not just the executives. There's also state laws, and our state lawmakers are also to blame.
You mentioned one when you first started, when you first started answering this question in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
A certain state law that you said prevents
us from getting paid.
Yeah. Can you, maybe if somebody out there doesn't necessarily know, can you explain what that is?
Because I didn't know.
Okay.
Until I honestly did not, I always thought it was more of a casino problem until the recent assembly that was only a month or 2 ago. And I sat in and listened to it, and it was so painful because they weren't taking any phone testimonies. So people like us could not call in to give our testimony. But the casino executives were there in person and they could give it. But basically, it's SB 8. It was a Senate bill and it passed, and it almost got unanimous votes, which that was the moment that I was like, dear God, if I don't get in, like Nevada is never going to protect its laborers. And basically, I'm going to try to put this in layman's terms the best I can because I love to get nerdy with it, but I'm not going to. Basically, there's a federal law. It's the Portal to Portal Act. And every state has a different law surrounding it, how they interpret it. So you have states like California and New York that are very pro the worker. And they're in favor of the working class. And so they make a law protecting them. And it basically makes sure that you get paid for every single minute of labor. Nevada made a law against the laborers. And this is SB 8. And it's basically saying... I'm going to say it the rude way. It's basically legalizing wage theft against us. And it's saying if you're hired as a dancer, we're only going to pay you the moments that you are dancing. We're not going to pay you for rehearsal because you're hired as a dancer. Your job description is blah, 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 blah. So we're only going to pay you for what that is. And now we get a gray area of what classifies as work. And again, I wish we could take phone testimony because I do think I could have swayed almost that whole room the other way with their votes, both the state assembly and state senate, because all you have to look at is, hey, my boss required me to be here at this time to this time, which means that I cannot make revenue at any other job. So if my work employer is preventing me from earning income, they must pay me. And that's the way that labor states like Nevada or New York and California see it. Nevada does not. And so this is why we don't get paid for rehearsals, because it's legal to not pay us for rehearsals. It's legal to not pay us for PR, promo, photo shoots, the new things happening with corporate buyouts where a lot of these casinos are now canceling a show within your 10-show, 5-day work week and bring you back on your off day without any extra pay. So the casinos make money because they're getting extra pay, but they don't have to pay like ushers, entertainment tech crew. And even with the entertainment techs, I've learned for them, it doesn't count as a 6th day of work and they're not getting the overtime pay that they should get. And it's the other thing within SB 8 is it bans us from doing class action lawsuits against wage theft. So, for example, I was in a show out here and I counted one time 135 hours of unpaid labor, right? But the way our contract is set up is technically you can do 12 hours of inclusive labor on top of your 10-show rate. So I was getting 165 a show. And I think it's really good that we start being transparent about our show rates, right? Because I think so many of us, whether it's a big name casino or a big name corporation, we're very scared to share our show rates because like maybe it like minimizes the illusion that we've made it. But we have made it. And I think it's important we start talking about it rather than keeping things anonymous, because the more we talk about our rates, the more the casinos will up them. But with all of that in mind, the 12-hour work week, they weren't counting our hours. That is illegal. SB 8 does not protect that. But
meaning counting your hours in total?
Yes.
Okay.
And so no matter, and this is all, by the way, for anyone out there, any lawyers out there, this is all for payroll jobs.
Okay.
None of this applies to contract work. That's a totally separate thing. So we're not talking about our one-off gigs that we do. We're not talking about go-go atmosphere. We're talking specifically when you're hired as a full-time dancer, which can be 8 to 10 shows. That's considered full-time in the city for anything. Cirque du Soleil, MGM, The Wynn, any of these shows. The lawsuit, though, came actually out of Amazon in Reno because Reno is where Amazon is based, and Amazon workers were not getting paid for all their time. So someone took it, they hired a employment lawyer, and they filed wage theft. So it got overturned for a while, and it was our one victory, which would have meant all these casinos would have had to back pay us for all the free labor we've done. So now we understand why the casinos wanted to lobby against this bill. And they wanted it to get reinstated. They made it like, oh, this is going to hurt small businesses. No small businesses are stealing the wages. And a lot of casinos are not even aware that they're stealing the wages because they either hire a third-party company to handle it or they form an LLC sub-company, which is like what the Wynn does. The Wynn has Wynn Show Performers LLC. And so then it kind of allows you to skirt around the main casino rules because you have less employees. So there's all these like legal gray area loopholes, but ultimately had SB 8 not got voted in favor of, we would have all gotten back paid and it would have changed everything for the future of dancers here to reflect what is going on in California, and we would have gotten paid our worth. And so I would say we need to know the long-winded version of that. Hopefully I broke it down into layman's terms. I know it can get real nerdy out here, but basically the biggest thing is dancers are not getting paid for labor. in the highest budgets in the world. People think it's Hollywood that has the highest budgets. I'm like, no, the budgets here are significant. We're adding zeros to the budgets we're working with here. They're way higher than the highest film and TV show, way higher than American Horror Story, way higher than like every music video I've ever done. It's crazy how much money is here, but how much money the workers. And this, I'm bringing up entertainment because we have the most amount of wage theft and we do the most amount of free labor. It's not just exclusive to our industry, though. It is happening across all hospitality industries. So it's needs to be fixed. And I actually, last thought on this, and then I'll move on. Don't want to bore the people out there, but
no, this is important. These are the things that like
it's important.
Somebody needs to do it. And I mean, like, someone's got to do it. And I don't mean, like, you have to. I just mean, like, as performers, as artists, as creatives, if you told me to sit down and read through all of that, I would zone out 700 times over because, we just don't work that way.
Yeah.
You know, not that I'm not interested, I am, but I need it in a story or else I'm not gonna like retain.
That's how I learned.
And yeah, so it's like, so also shout you out for giving it in those terms because I'm like, oh, they did what?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like,
well,
anyway.
they make it confusing on purpose.
Yes.
So in December, I went to the eStems meeting. There's another one coming up. And I highly recommend everyone going to these meetings just because you can talk to them to be like, this is a concern. And it's crazy how much they actually do want to help us. They just don't know. And that's why we need representation. But I had met with a couple of the state assembly people, and this was 1 or 2 weeks after the state assembly where the film bill got voted down and SB 8, aka legalizing wage theft, got voted in. And I was meeting with one woman and she was like, so why are you running for lieutenant governor? And I was like, A, because their main job is to fix entertainment, tourism, and like no one can do that better than an entertainer. Like, sorry, it's not going to be a judge, it's not going to be a lawyer, it's not going to be a cop, it's not going to be a teacher. Like, you need entertainment producers and workers in the industry because we know what's failing. And like, I can fix it in 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes of time, I will fix that. I was like, it's going to take y'all 50 years. And I was like, but B, I was like, I want to be the tiebreaker vote because they are the tiebreaker vote when it comes to any ties in state assembly. And I was like, if I had any kind of verbal say or influence among the last assembly, I would have changed a lot of things. But a lot of things that you guys voted for killed it for us. Like, people are moving back to LA because they lost hope. And I was like, we're hanging on by a thread here. And she was like, well, what laws? And I went on to a whole tangent with the film bill with her. And then with the SBA, I brought it up and I was like, we don't get paid for this. We don't get paid for this. And she was like, what? We had no idea. And there were a couple of people over here and they joined in assembly and they were like, you guys don't get paid for that? What? Are you contract labor? Is it because you're contract laborers? I was like, no, this whole thing is about payroll. I'm talking W-2s, W-4s. You are on the payroll listed as employee, non-manager, non-exempt, all the things that qualify you to get paid. And they're like, well, what does your union have to say about it? And I was like, we're not unionized. And they were like, let me tell you guys, the entire state of Nevada thinks dancers are unionized. Everyone thinks we're unionized because every other industry is. And they're like, well, what about IATSE? I was like, that's behind the scenes and they're not even included in all the shows. And like, I'm watching them in real time be like, brains are turning like clueless because the way we're shown is like glamorous. They think we're out there making $500K a year.
You know, I see it as in they just don't know.
They don't know.
That's, you know, and it's so easy to be like, these people are evil, these companies are evil and all this stuff. And sure, not everybody has good intentions.
Right.
But do they have the knowledge? Because somebody who sat behind a computer all day, every day for their entire life, who was into sports, who was into all these things, who's had exposure to the way that it should be, quote unquote, would assume that everybody is like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But no.
No.
But no.
No.
But they don't usually.
But no.
But like, they don't usually know that.
They don't know. And that's exactly, and it's what I'm learning because it's really easy to be divided and to be like the evil corporations versus us. And like, there's still some evil corporations, don't get me wrong. And we know who they are. But there's also some really good people who did join. They wanted to work for the government because they have good intentions for their community. It just happens we're not a part of their community. And it just happens that nobody in our community has a say. And so that's like why I'm like, we need a voice, and it can't be like, I can't run for like local assembly. I can't run for county commissioner. I'm like, I need to run at the top, because unfortunately, even though I'm the voice of entertainers dominantly, it's not just happening to us. It's happening to bartenders who are still unionized, but they still are getting scrutinized. It's happening to servers, culinary workers, construction workers. A lot of protected people in the state that you assume are making more are not. And it's a lot just comes down to none of them are represented. We don't have one person who's a construction worker currently who is running for office. We don't have anyone in film running for office, anyone in art running for office, no one in dance, circus, entertainment tech, rigging, audio, bartender. And it's like, but that's the makeup of the whole state.
At least whole state.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at.
Wow.
Yeah. It's why I do say, though, because so often, there's been the thing where it really is mentally healthy to kind of stay out of politics and not know what's going on, not know what's, there's a blessing in that. There's a privilege in that too, for sure. But I tell dancers, I'm like, you get paid less because you don't pay attention. And if you want to see zeros in your bank account, you want to not be stressed about evictions or foreclosures, you got to pay attention. You got to start voting for the people who make the laws that make sense for you. Because right now the laws are being made at your expense, and it doesn't matter how hard you work. That American dream of working hard is dead. Like, now we have to be strategic, and we got to be like, oh, well, let's go back to bringing the policies that saved and protected the American dream, where you can work hard and make a living. And so that's kind of where I'm like, I really want entertainers to know how important it is to be engaged with what is going on at the state, local, and federal level. Yeah.
I also had this question before you got here, because I was like, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
How do you? Because I think it was a story of yours that I watched, and you were talking about the, like, not emotion, but the balancing the negativity versus positivity, right? Because a lot of the times when people talk about politics or are in politics, it can get so heavy and so negative, yet you're such a spiritual, light, smiley person. Like, how in the hell do you handle it?
I didn't always. And I think as a society, we need to start talking about the times that we were not right, or the times that we maybe were offensive and mean. And 2020 got really dark for me, and I was advocating so much. I was not taking breaks, and I didn't have dance also to offset my mental health, which I think is a big part of it. And I think I was a little aggressive. And looking back, a lot of my rhetoric, though my beliefs were right, and I wasn't mean, like, I don't come for people and I'm like, you think this way, so, like, you're ugly. Like, when people start saying that, I'm like, what are we doing? This is not productive. You're just being mean. And, like, you don't know what that person's going through. And you also don't know what knowledge that person is exposed to. Like, I grew up in Texas. I grew up in a very Republican area. I was a Republican for a long ass time. It took me leaving and experiencing different cultures and also being like, whoa, Texas is privileged. Like, most companies don't screw you over there. If you work 40 hours a week and you stay with the company for more than a couple years, you're going to be making well over 6 figures. You're never going to lose your health benefits. That is not the norm outside of Texas. But so I read The Artist's Way. Have you read The Artist's Way?
You are the second guest that has talked to me about that. And I can't even remember if the first one talked to me about it on the podcast or we just talked about it afterwards. Now I gotta buy it.
It's
a sign. It's a sign.
life-changing.
It's a sign.
It's a sign. Now, granted, I don't do well with self-help books being like, do this every day, do this exercise. I'm an equal part organized and chaotic. I'm Aries sun, Gemini moon, and Virgo rising. So I'm like, I can be chaotic, I can be messy, and then I can get it together when I need to. Like, if there's a deadline, if there's something, if like someone needs my help. If it's for someone else, I will be so on top of it. If it's for me, chaos. But
as a fellow Gemini moon, I understand.
Oh my God, Gemini moon. It's so fun. We're fun.
Oh yeah, Sag rising and sun. Okay, I got you.
You got the fire.
I got you. I understand.
But I read The Artist's Way, never even finished it. Even just the first couple of chapters changed my life. And I was like, okay. And I felt something. I really reconnected to myself because I was burnt out and I was feeling dark and I was feeling not creative. I wasn't creating at all. This is when my fitness business was at its like peak, because now it mainly just remains as like an online on demand. People pay for it. I don't do anything with it. But at this time, I was doing everything. I was running the books, the invoices, social media, email blasts, marketing, doing all the programs, teaching all the classes, running private sessions, doing pop-up events. And I hit a wall. And then I read The Artist's Way. And it's it's both creative and spiritual, but I also recommend it for non-artists. I think it will change everyone's life if they're just in a kind of a rut, a dark place. And then I got really into spirituality. I started seeing angel numbers, and I I was married at the time too, and I was with my ex for 12 years, I think, and we're still really close, but at the time I was like, I have to start prioritizing myself. I think I've been people pleasing for so long. I've been giving for so long. I've been staying up to date. I wanted to be like the best activist I could be. But what I said earlier, I wasn't filling my own cup. And then I got really into a spirituality. I just started seeing all these angel numbers and like exploring more of that. And the more I started doing that, the more things started aligning. And I had no idea I was moving to Vegas at the time. I was still living in LA. And it's just crazy kind of how one thing led to another. I remember on January 1st of that year, I had written down all the choreographers I wanted to work with. And I was like, Mandy Moore, Silent House, this person, this person, this person. They didn't even seem attainable. There was nothing about it that seemed attainable. Since that was January 1st, 2021 or 2022. I can't fully remember. I've worked with every single person I put on that list.
Hell yeah.
And like not even one day one-off jobs where they don't know me, but like worked with them for 30 days and they know my name. They know I'm an animal rescuer. They know where I'm from. Like we know each other on a first name basis type thing. And I'm like, it's crazy. And then, I kind of, when I was working in a show out here, I kind of went through a little bit of a dark phase. I got like a permanent injury, and like it was hard for me to come out of it. And it was one thing after another. I was going through a divorce. I had gotten terminated from my job while on workers' comp. And then I found out I had permanent spine damage. And the way that I moved, because I'm like very creature heavy, was so much from my neck. And it was like right between my neck and my back. And I was like, I can't move that way anymore. And I would take these dance classes. And like, I remember going to Allison Burke, who's a good friend of mine, and taking her dance class. And like, I was crying in the back because I'm probably going to cry again. But, I was just like, oh my gosh, like my whole life revolves around my body. And this job that like I don't even have a savings account from the job, just killed my body. And I went into a hole, and I was avoiding people, and I was doing EMDR therapy from like the accident that caused it. And I was doing so much work. And at the time, my cortisol was so high and my nervous system was so shot that like I wouldn't drink caffeine, which everyone knows me. Like this is a daily. I'm not sponsored, but everyone who knows me, it's a daily. So for me to have to cut those out, like that's where my nervous system was at. And I kind of hit such rock bottom for me, where like I didn't think I'd dance again. And I was like, no, Bridget. Like, you are not like this. My name, I prefer BridgieNix, but like when I talk to myself, it's Bridget. I was like, you are not like this. Pick yourself up. Everything happens for a reason, and you know it. It always has. Like every single time I've hit a wall where something didn't work out in my entire career, whether it was like fitness or something I was auditioning for, something I was on hold for, like could have changed my life, I got redirected. And it's true what they say. What's the quote? Every like something is a redirection. There's some cute quote. I'll come back to you in like 5 days about it. But there's some quote that's like basically every road bump that you hit is like a redirection towards something better. And I used to kind of be like a cynic and think like all that stuff was just like things people would say to make themselves feel better about like disappointments. But one day I was like, okay, let's try it, because it's not working out for me to be like pessimistic. And it's so true what they say, manifesting, being optimistic, like the energy, like it's possible to be pragmatic and realistic, but also to be optimistic at the same time. And so living out here kind of allowed me to do that. I got in touch with my creativity, whereas like LA, yes, my career was successful, but again, so many of the jobs we do are for other people, not for our soul. And I stopped being creative, where I was like, I was so creative in Pittsburgh. I painted, I wrote poetry, I wrote creative stories, like I choreographed, I would just like vibe out in my living room. Like I had no boundaries or limits to my creativity. And then I moved to LA, where you have to hustle. It's hard. You got to grind. You need 10,000 side jobs. Fitness was my side hustle mainly, but I also worked at a movie theater. I also worked at a tanning salon, like whatever. You got to grind. And it stifled my creativity. Read The Artist's Way, moved out here, started manifesting, worked with every choreographer I wanted, rediscovered my lust to create. I choreographed, and not because I was getting paid or someone asked me to. It always felt like such a task to choreograph, but because I wanted to. And like, I'd be driving in the car and a song would come on, and like visions, like visions, to the point where like my creativity has not stopped since. I like don't have enough time for my creative ideas almost. So yeah, it was like, I kind of surrendering, man. It's so important, but I like spirituality is so important too to keep you grounded. And then redoing your algorithms is my biggest piece of advice. I consume a lot of politics, a lot of current events. It can get so dark. And so now I've redone my Explore page to where my Explore page has nothing to do with my homepage. My homepage is like politics. My Explore page is like cats, spirituality. I'm watching the most creative things from like European, Australian dance companies, art, visual art. I watch a lot of painters, inspiring quotes, like motivational speakers, and it helps. What you consume does help. You know, I don't think it's good to completely ignore the news and tune out, because I think that's dangerous to society. I think it gives dangerous people more power. But I do think balance, it lies in creativity and spirituality and like nature. Like, we got to get outside. It's tough in the winter, but we got to do it.
It's tough in the summer here.
It's also tough in the summer.
It's easy in the winter. It's nice and cool outside.
That's a good point. Depending where you live, it could be tough.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So I think it's that. It's tough to stay optimistic, especially with everything happening in the world. And if you're an empath too, I cry all the time. But keep your animals close. Keep dancing. Dance really is the answer. I mean, if everyone just danced, I think we'd all be happy.
Facts. We all smile a little more. Agreed.
Getting in touch with your inner child is important. You know, psychologists say it all the time. Dancers just naturally be doing it in like a accepted environment, I guess.
Oh, yeah. We are fools.
Yeah.
I always say, if you just tell dancers to have a good time, that's all. The only prompt we need.
Okay.
We're like that.
I got hired for this New Year's Eve job, and like these are the moments where it's just like so fun what we do. And we kind of got greenlit to like play a part and like to mess with the clients, to mess with the audience, like to kind of tease them and to like be rude to them. And I was like, so fun.
Say less.
And so like I was like playing this character, and I went up to this one table and stole this woman's purse, and I was like, hee hee, and I like ran around and did a lap around the ballroom, and she was like, and you know, and like they're obviously like high paying clients. And I came back and I was like, finders keepers, better be careful, and like dropped it. And then they like realized it's a bit. And I was like, it is so fun to play with your inner child sometimes. And you even watch these guests come in who are like so reserved, and then like they get taunted a little bit, and like they let their guards down too. And I'm like, if we could just have a little more fun in the world, I think the world wouldn't be so scary or mean or aggressive or violent, you know?
But also the people in the audience like that, they need that, because they're not in touch with their inner child. And I mean, like, I shouldn't say that like I'm accusing them, but like, they need to be reminded of that. And that's the other thing too, is like, that's also, that, at least to me, is priceless.
Well, and yeah, it's, you know, it's not really accepted to be in touch with your inner child. So
Right.
it's like no shade to people, because we live in a society that can be pretty judgy, right? And to even exist as long as a dancer, like not one single soul of us out there has walked a day in life without getting judged for our style, the clothes we wear, the vibe we bring. You're going to get judged. But so much of that comes from the external beliefs. I do think deep down, everyone wants to let loose. They want to dress how they want. They want to release their inner child. They want to get a little weird.
People want to have fun.
Yeah.
No one wants to be serious all the time.
All the time. No, for sure. But yeah. It's a long way to get to how to stay grounded, how to keep balance, inner child, write some poetry, hang out with the cats and dogs.
I love it.
Yeah.
Has it ever scared you to take this stance for the community and wonder if it's going to negatively affect your career?
All the time. And it has. But every time, like, I've been blacklisted before. Every time, because you know how it is to be a woman. If I was not a woman and I was doing the same things I'm doing, I'd be getting praise, and I'd be getting praised by the people that don't want to pay us. But to be a woman who is vocal in an industry that is already not understood, it comes with challenges for sure. People will do everything to kind of bring you down. And you have to know. I remember in 2020, I was more advocate about civil rights and a lot of the things that were happening around like Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and the Black Lives Mattered movement. And I was very vocal because I'm like, it took me a long time to even understand what privilege was as like a white person. I didn't get it. It takes time because it makes people feel like, oh, I'm privileged. I didn't work hard for the things I did. And then I had to unlearn it and be like, oh, I experience safety in society because of my skin color in a way other people don't. Like, I don't have to be scared every time a cop pulls me over. I just have to be like, it ruins my day. It's expensive, those kinds of things. And so I was a vocal advocate to try to educate people. During that time, I lost 7,000 followers on Instagram, and I lost a lot of clients as well for my fitness business. Not ever, though, was I like, should I have done that? I never doubted what I did. I, of course, was scared, but like when you know right versus wrong, you got to do it. And it doesn't matter what you lose, because at the end of the day, it's like, did I sell out my soul for dollar signs, or did I protect humankind to create a better world where we can all live with equity and equality? And that's always been my belief. And then, now my activism has also like translated into the industry. And so with that, there are times that I have had my pay try to be cut, not mine personally, but like the whole company, and go against our contract. And most people are just like, this is what it is. And I'm like, no, we literally took the job because of a contract we signed. They guaranteed us an annual salary. And now because they want to cut our show pay, this is going to undermine our annual salary, which like half of us relocated from out of state. And we did not get like beyond a couple thousand to relocate, which that lasted 5 minutes. So I'm like, many of us upended our lives, redirected our entire future because of a guaranteed black and white print on paper that now they know we're too scared to challenge. I'm like, that's unacceptable. They know it's not legal, but they also know we're scared. And I'm like, it's, not okay. And everyone's always like, well, will you say something? And I'm like, so, what comes with it. But again, it's been my whole life. Like, I remember in like 5th grade, there was like a situation. I don't even remember what it was. Not important. There's a situation though. And our dance company was upset, and our dance moms were upset with like the studio owners that we were at. And everyone was so scared of the studio owner. And I was like 10 years old, and I was like, let me handle it. And I was like, and I came forward, and I stood there with all the moms, and not one other kid was there. And I was like, yeah, but this is what happened in rehearsal. And I'm 10. I'm in 5th grade. I didn't even make it to junior high. And so that's always just been my role. Things are going to happen. People are going to retaliate. Retaliation is an act of fear when people know they have done something wrong. Mm-hmm. It is the only reason bosses retaliate. And as a positive, because I had said this before on another podcast interview, don't let that discourage you, anyone listening, from doing the right thing, from fighting for your pay, for speaking up, especially the women out there. It is so easy for us to feel small in a space. Don't let it discourage you. And here's why. When I got blacklisted, it backfired on them so heavily because one of the shows I got blacklisted from, I am best friends with the choreographers. So they weren't the ones. And I got to call them and tell them an entire story that I wasn't planning on sharing. I was like, this was a private thing. And it was about my injury at the time. And so I called them, like, to give you an idea of how close they are. I have either danced for them or been their assistant on over 50, not 15 jobs over the course of a decade. Both in Vegas, both in LA, and internationally. They were invited to my wedding. I am very close with them. But like, again, these business people don't realize how close the dance industry is. If you're in your 20s or 30s, we know everyone. They could be in Europe, they could be in Australia, we know them. And they don't realize how close connected we are. So it backfired, and everyone in that show ended up kind of finding out what happened. It came back to them, and later on, they had to release a statement that they were like in the wrong of this type of thing. And then what ended up happening to me actually kind of happened to other people at the same place. And so it also led to more respect after this happened, more and more people started hiring me for jobs and bigger paying jobs. After this happened, I was so scared I was never going to work again. But again, I never once do I never have regret. Like, and that is clear that you can have fear, but not regret. They are different. So yeah, I do things being like, oh, this is probably going to bite me in the ass. But do I really want to be at a place that is trying to cut our pay? Maybe there's sexual harassment accusations. Maybe there's abuse accusation. No, I don't want to be here. If I speak out and they don't make changes and I'm punished for it, this is not a safe space for me or future generations of dancers. So for me, it's kind of like, what is the bigger picture here? But I have to say, after I did that, I got booked for the weekend. I got to work with Charm. I got booked on Apple on a SAG International with residuals job. I got all my medical debt paid off. I opened my production company. I learned how to do fire. And I remember when I learned fire, I was like, I'm going to start booking fire jobs this year, even though I've never touched fire in my life. And I did. And like now fire is my main source of income. Every single thing I manifested when I was at the lowest all came true.
I love that.
And it's like crazy the respect that choreographers I never thought would even look my way have for me now because of like that work. And so I want, just don't ever live in fear out there. You know, don't be an asshole. Like that's important to say. Like there's a way to do it for sure to get respect. You're not going to be respected if you're mean, if you're an asshole, if you're disrespected. I hate to say it. People will raise their voice at you. It is so powerful to never raise your voice back. And I cannot tell you how many times I had been screamed at. One time I just said, hey, we're dancing in a rehearsal for 8 hours today. We need to be able to have our water bottles in the room. I was literally fighting for water. And I almost got written up for that. And I did tell them, I was like, you guys can write me up, but you have to put why you're writing me up on the paper and send me a copy. And I will absolutely sign it. I agree. Write me up. I'm going to drink my water. We're in an 8-hour rehearsal day. And yeah. And then I think they were like, this is probably a bad idea because it will get sent to HR that we denied water for our dancers, you know? And so it is wild. I know people watching this, sometimes when they hear the stories, they're like, I don't realize it's like this for dancers. I'm like, no, it's the Wild West. We're in like 1920s.
Yep.
Yeah. But the fear's there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
For sure. You just got to conquer the fear.
That's true. But we're also trained with fear instilled in us.
Yes. Which is, I personally believe it is the system that is still causing us not to get paid more. And it's because you look at a lawyer, right? Highly skilled labor set, going to tons of school, 7 years usually. Some of the highest paid people, depending what level of law and how experienced you are in it. And I have an injury lawyer, employment lawyer, and I've talked at length with them just about it. Like not even about my cases, but just why we're so underpaid because they feel for us. They're like, I don't get it. We have so many clients who are dancers and it's just corporation after corporation does this, and circus artists too. And we'll just like kiki as if we're at having a coffee. And I'm like, you know what it is? It's because so many of us start when we're age 2 or 3. And you know those movies where you see like a football coach or like treating them like a military? I'm like, it's like that for us, but it's like sugar coated. Like it's presentational. So it's like approved by the parents. It's approved by like society. And I was like, but it's abusive. And I was like, and it's, I mean, now I don't think they can physically abuse you, but like we got physically abused. We got whipped with a cane. One of my ballet teachers had a safety pin and would like poke me with my back leg in arabesque if my arabesque wasn't high enough. And like you know, that's at least canceled, but the verbal abuse is still there and the conditioning to think that we can't speak out for our human rights is still there, which is the biggest problem. That one is huge. I don't know where I read this story or heard the story. I don't know if it was on social media, but it was so inspirational to me. And I go back to when I was teaching kids. I'm like, I wish I did this with my kids. But this guy came into his class and I think they were elementary or maybe early junior high. And he basically picked out a student to pick on that day. Like, say it was you, Abby. Be like, Abby, you're not pointing your toes. And he was like intentionally rude to the student. Now, the student did nothing wrong, but he was like making a moment of it. And then at the end of the day, he like sat them all down and was like, do you guys know what you all did wrong today? And
no.
Yes. You know where it's going.
Yes.
And they were like, what? And they were all so scared of him because he was being so mean to this one girl. And this one girl was losing it. And that poor girl, like, I don't know if she got told in advance. Hopefully she got told in advance what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Or he like rewarded her somehow, but made an example out of it. And he was like, you guys should have stood up for Abby. The way I was talking to her was not okay. And no one said anything. And you guys are a team. You're not soloists. You work together. You got to fight for this. If any of you want to be professional dancers, you're going to have to stand together. You're going to have to fight for your rights. And you're going to have to speak out against abuse that you witness, even if it's not your own, if it's someone else's. And I was like,
well,
if we all got taught that when we were also getting told how to activate our adductors for turnout at age 8, and I'm like, what's an adductor?
Right.
Then we would not be in this predicament. And I believe we would be at the same pay level that football players are getting paid at, because they don't even have the same training we do. And that's not a diss. They just don't offer training it for 3 years old for football players. And
they also only play, 15 games a year?
And they have off season. They have rest season. They might have rest seasons too. I don't know. We are the only sports athletic industry that works year round.
Yeah.
There's no other one.
Nope.
And the fact that this is only Vegas doing 10 shows a week. I mean,
don't they do it in New York too, on Broadway? I thought musicals.
I thought they were at 8.
Oh,
they might do 10.
Are they at 8?
Okay, I could be wrong.
No, I'm probably wrong.
So that one's never going to be an option.
Be 8. I'm not sure.
And Broadway's one where it's like they get treated really well. But they have really good benefits. Yeah. They're union, but their pay could be better too.
Yeah.
I've learned more about equity, and I'm like, oh my God, equity is like better. They're protected, but equity needs to add some zeros too for what they do.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they have a lot more lifelong benefits and stuff, and it's a very well-established and respected industry, but I do believe that the ensemble dancers need to be getting way more money. But of course, it's mainly the leads. And it's famous people who are like, I want to take a break off of film this year, and I'd love to just like meander on into the stage in theater, which I love. They should. Everyone should experience all the art they want. However, they get the zeros at the end of their paychecks, and the people who have been doing this since birth, since they could walk, are not. And like, it's just wild that most of us don't clear 6 figures. And the money's there. It'd be so different if we were a startup business and the money wasn't there. But the money is available.
Yeah. The only other sport I know that comes close, doesn't hit it, but comes close to soccer.
Which was the only sport I liked. Makes sense. I played soccer. Oh my gosh. Have you seen, it's called Disco Toe or something? Disco Toe? Disco Point? It's Disco something.
Okay.
It's literally a bunch of people on a soccer field playing soccer, but they're doing like little like dances, and they're dancing. Like they be vibing. They're dancing with the soccer ball.
Yeah.
And it's like a new thing called Disco Toe.
That's so
I
cute.
sent a video of it to my dad because my dad was my soccer coach.
Aww.
And I played soccer for a long time. I loved soccer. And I was like, I know you thought when I was doing pirouettes and cartwheels in the back that I was a nuisance, but I actually was ahead of my time because now this is the thing.
You're like, I did it before. It was cool.
I did it before anyone had a name for it.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so one of the big questions, what do you plan to do when you become lieutenant governor?
Yes.
If you can share.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, we should be sharing.
Yeah.
This is like why the people need to vote.
Yeah.
I think I started this by saying this. In 5 minutes, I can fix entertainment tourism. So something I really want to work with the casinos about is, well, let me put a pause in that. What is happening economically with our tourism is 3 things. The first one is something that cannot be controlled on the state level. It's what's happening on federal level. Now with the new immigration laws and crackdown with ICE and detentions at TSA and Customs and Border Patrol, a lot of people are not coming to the U.S. anymore for even visiting. There's new laws and restrictions around even the visas that you would need to come here, whether it's even for like 5 days and stuff. So what's happening is 1/3 of Vegas's income comes from Canada, and Canada, for the most part, is on a strike against the United States right now. We can't do anything about that at the state level, right? That's a federal thing. Of course, we can push them. The other thing that people don't realize is, yes, we still have international travelers coming, but not at the rates they were. And international conventions, like a lot of your MLMs, are not coming here because like their American groups are only so many people, and they need to fill up the casinos. They need to fill up these huge places that are super expensive internationally. So now more and more conventions are not coming to Vegas. That's one. And then the other thing that people realize is a big chunk of our money Vegas and Reno, but dominantly Vegas, comes from the Middle East and comes from East Asia because those people love to gamble. And they drop $1 million in a minimum bet per night on a table. Americans aren't doing that, right? I mean, if they're even gambling, which most Americans don't have the means to do so, they'd be dropping like $20 in a slot machine. Maybe I would say like the big spenders are like $500. And that's like chump change compared to $1 million per night. And so now we're seeing this major loss of revenue. So people are like, oh, tourism's not dead. There's all these people on the strip. And I'm like, the body count doesn't matter. It's the money. The dollar signs are not there. Excuse me. So that's one thing that until like our state lawmakers, of course, can push it. And one problem right now is that our governor and lieutenant governor are not truly going against anything with Trump. They're not even trying to reason with him. They're very much on the same page with him. And so they're not asking for any federal like traveling laws to change here. It's a problem. But even if you have someone who is very against Trump and they're advocating, like the reality is not much is going to change federally in the next 2 years. So we have to completely now reroute. We have to be like, how do we make tourism popular to boost revenue domestically for Americans? Because that is what we have to look at. And that is the reality we are in.
It's, kind of.
That's where we're at. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Not like we don't need to go into like, do you believe it? Do you like, we shouldn't support that? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because we're here in the now. 2026. So how do we get Americans to come here? And one thing is we got to lower prices in those casinos, right? Everyone knows that. That's collectively believed. But everyone's been saying that, right? And our state assemblies, our state senate, our lawmakers last year knew that too. And they've been asking for it and they're not doing it. Okay, so let's take another reroute. This is where they're not thinking outside the box. Look at the Americans that we're at right now. It's expensive across the board. A lot of people, if they don't have healthcare through their work, they pay for the ACA. My own personal premiums went from $73 a month to $480 a month for like average, mediocre healthcare in a marketplace. Because a lot of people think the ACA, if they don't have it, doesn't have marketplace. And they're like, well, it's because there's no free range capitalism. I'm like, I got to choose from over 200 plans. There's a marketplace. It's there. Maybe not 200. That might be exaggeration, but at least 50. And so now I'm like looking at a lot of my friends. I've lived a lot of places. I have friends in Wyoming with families, Pennsylvania, Alaska. I actually lived this summer in Denver and Colorado, and like my brother has kids, and I think about my family and friends who are in Texas. And it's like, why are we offering childcare in the casinos? Like, it's not what it was in 1970 where like a wife and a husband can just come here and live their best life and get the family. A lot of people don't have family in the same city that they live in. They don't have built-in caretakers for their children. And a lot of people have family. So it's like we need to offer child-friendly casinos where there's actually fun things for the children to do, whether, and it used to be more like that. We've gotten rid of a lot of that here. I came here for dance nationals when I was 14 and I had a blast as a kid here. But a lot of what I consumed doesn't even exist here anymore. But within that, we need to offer childcare in the casinos for both the employees, but also for the people visiting. Do you know how much money we would make if we had childcare built into the system so that people don't have to hire a sitter? And not only hire a sitter for 2 days, but they could bring their kids with them and stay for 5 days instead and make it fun. Like, it can't just be like boring, like, here's a coloring book. Like, it's got to be. I went to the art museum in the Aria the other day. Have you been there?
No.
ARTE. It's an immersive experience, which like normally I don't think are like always worth the cost because you just walk through and see things. But they actually have interactive things for kids to do. You can touch the walls and then flowers bloom out.
Aww.
They have a coloring thing where you color these like animals and you put it in a scanner and your animal then appears on the thing. Yes, it's really cool. And I was thinking about my nieces. I was like, they would love this. And so we need childcare. We need child activities. We need family-friendly activities. We need to bring more festivals here. And I don't mean just like EDC. That's for adults. We do need that. EDC alone, I think 500,000 people came in 2 days.
Yep.
So when you hear live entertainment's dead, it's not dead. You just need an entertainer to run it, to get people here. I believe over 100 performers were hired locally. And I think they hired thousands of bartenders, servers, security, police, all these people to pay them that weekend. And that's one weekend. But we also need things like the Renaissance Festival. We need a statewide festival that's much bigger here with performers. We need a Vegas festival. We need fairs. We need art fairs. Like, we need so much more culture here. We just have the culture built in, but we are not like bringing events with it. Other things that I would want to bring for entertainment tourism is more music. Like, we got Beyonce, who costs $5,000 per ticket. Like, we can't be doing that. So much of even small towns I've lived in, people are like, oh, well, LA's big. I'm like, no, Pittsburgh's not. The town I lived in Wyoming was not. Like, they still bring like indie music things. They have live music that's affordable for both locals and for people traveling through the city. We also need more like goth and hipster activities. Vegas right now is very mainstream and it is very built for one type of person.
Like, I love When We Were Young. Love it.
Yes. We need more of that.
Loved it.
But something that's permanently offered here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the arts district is trying, but they're constantly getting beat down too. Like, you know, they tried to do a noise ordinance in the only section of town that we have music after 10 p.m. Now, obviously, you know, I was on that in 5 minutes. I had just met with the mayor. I contacted every person on city council, the city planner.
I sent it an email. I sent my email.
I
was like, no. Don't do it.
Like, what are you doing?
The only, like,
it's all we have.
It's
all we have. And now they're doing parking. Like, the arts district is constantly under attack. But we also need like public transportation here. For again, both locals, but the city wants to be like, well, we have Red Rocks, we have Mount Charleston, we have the Hoover Dam, we have these very expensive flights that you can take to the Grand Canyon. And you're like, okay, do people have to pay extra to get from point A to point B? Do they have to rent a car? Do they have to take a $300 round trip Uber? What do we don't even have a realistic bus system. Like, it goes to like 5 places and you have to take like 3 transfers to get there. And that's your whole day. Your day is gone. You missed the event, you know? And so I'm like, it'd be really cool to have something like what Chicago has, like an above ground loop metro. So that we bring a metro that goes around the city so you can get from North Vegas to Henderson. You can also maybe get from Henderson to Red Rocks. And it's like something that takes you there in under an hour. And it's a loop train. And what if we made it free? And what if it's included in the stays? What if it's included in that? I know these casinos are at the point right now, and the state in general, because for a lot of them are older, so capitalism worked for their generation. Their version of capitalism wasn't monopolized. Now we've turned to monopolies, and so we're experiencing price gouging, and that's why capitalism in its current state is what's called like last stage capitalism.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's failing us, and they want to charge for everything, yet none of their demographics have the means.
Yeah.
So they're undermining their own gains at the same time. So I'm like, let's talk about free shuttles. And I offered this actually as a solution for the arts district parking too. I'm like, what if all these casinos offered free shuttle hotel transportation, Aria transportation, Cosmo transportation, to and from the arts district, to and from Fremont. And they are so competitive with each other that I think they think, oh, well, if we bring them to Fremont and they spend at the cheaper tables, they're not going to spend at ours. It's like, it just doesn't work like that. People just want to change a vibe. They don't want to spend 5 days in the same exact walls looking at the same exact sterile environment. They want to mix it up. And I guarantee if you offer a free shuttle, they will love to come back with you. They're going to spend 6 days there instead of 12 hours.
Listen, it's the same reason Costco hot dogs are still $1.50. If you just
go cheaper.
But if you just like make it for the people,
yes,
you'd be surprised on what comes back to you.
Yeah. And I'm 35, turning 36 this upcoming year. Nowhere in the year this year. I'm turning 36 this year. And I came here for my 21st birthday. I had $80 in my bank account. I was fine. I had the best time. I stayed for 7 days. Now, granted, I wasn't paying for a hotel, so like add hotel stay on that. I was staying with a friend. Like, it was tight, but I went out. Like, I had the time of my life. It was one of my favorite trips. Every single place that I went to either doesn't exist or charges at the door, and their drinks are 3 times what they were, you know, and so money's one, right? Yeah. Money, we need free public transportation that's included in the rate. We got to cut resort fees. And we also need more things to do that's not just like a mtska club or gambling, right? And with that, I'm like, a lot of Gen Z doesn't drink. So now they're not making money. They're bringing these headliners that are awesome. Like, I love Sophie Tucker. Sophie Tucker also got me through pandemic. I would have these parties doing their Instagram lives in my room with just me and my ex, and we would just bounce on a trampoline and be like, yeah.
That's so cute.
She got me through pandemic. But I love Sophie Tucker. But at the same time, you're not charging at the door, which that's not an idea. If you charge at the door, you're not going to have anyone. But like, no one really wants to pay like for bottle service. Like, I'm sorry, I'm 36. Like, vodka and cranberry really worked for me when I like was underage drinking in college. But like, not that I'm recommending people do that, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I didn't. I think we need more transparency and authenticity in office rather than these people that just pretend they're saints, because they're not. But with that in mind, like, we need to offer something different. Like, one thing I really miss about LA and Houston is like they have the best, freshest, most innovative cocktails. And what used to be really expensive, $12 for a cocktail when I first moved there, was like, oh my God, LA is so expensive. But they have not really raised their prices since however many years ago.
Mhm.
So it's still like $12 to $13 for these fabulous cocktails, which here it's $25 to $40 for a cocktail. And they're not good. They're sweet, which people are like, it's intentional because it like whatever. There's these theories. And I'm like, but not everyone likes it. I don't like it. So now I don't go out and drink. I just go out and socialize. I'm not going to pay for a product I don't like. And we can't just keep forcing our own beliefs on everyone. You have to offer a variety. Why don't we have gluten-free options? It's 2026. Everywhere else in the world that's a tourist destination has gluten-free options. Vegan. I'm vegan, not vegetarian. Do you know how hungry I am when I go out? Or I just
Girl,
have to sacrifice
I'm
it?
vegan and gluten-free.
Oh my God. Easy, but that's easy in other places. It is. And everyone's like, oh, LA? I'm like, no. I went to New York this summer. I found options.
New York has great restaurants. Anyway.
And even Houston,
calm
which
down,
people
yeah.
are like, oh, Texas, like me. And I'm like, I grew up in Texas. I know. But like, the cities understand what they have to do to serve a variety of people. They're not stubborn about it. So I think Vegas needs to offer different options. We also need to bring wellness into the community. We have no wellness scene here. I know we have like fitness studios and stuff, but the wellness scene in other cities is so far beyond what we are. And if we offer that, more people will come here for their bachelorette parties, right? People will still go out, they'll get messed up, but they want to go take like a really cool wellness experience. They want to do a day of meditation. They want to drink that juice with no alcohol that's from like fresh pressed ingredients that's not $9,000. You know?
There's a sound. I've been to a sound bath at, what is it, the Durango?
Amazing.
They do a full like
Yes.
hour and a half
Yes.
sound bath, and then you can like access their spa and everything. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, more of that.
And that's like honestly almost on every corner in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these wellness events that people do to promote their businesses that they'll do for free.
Mm-hmm.
You're not paying lots of money for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not paying anything for it. And so we just kind of need to advance our culture beyond, like, obviously what worked in the 70s was amazing then, but it's not working now. And so we do kind of have to adapt with wellness. We need good mocktails. Like, we can't just be offering a Shirley Temple for everyone that doesn't drink. Like, they don't want to feel like a child. They're still an adult. They make adult decisions. They want the fresh ingredients too. And so there's a lot of things we could do with that. We also need to bring film here. And people are like, oh, that's for jobs. But I'm like, it's for tourism too. Like, I worked at the Paramount lot all last January, and you have people coming in, families. Again, it goes back to not just adults. There's family activities. People love to take a tour of lots. And the other cool thing about having film lots here is you can host events that are better, because right now we don't really have sound stages in LA. I did a whole post about it, why like we can't even have a lot of things here, like award shows. We can't get hired as dancers because the rehearsals have to have it on a soundstage. We don't have sound stages. So we can only get hired as like background the day of, But sound stages open up a whole door of events and reality shows and award shows and things like that. And people think it doesn't bring tourism in. I'm like, it brings in millions. It does. And I would love to see amusement parks, theme parks. I want to see a lot more nature revamped. I really want to protect our parks. I'm such a nature girly. I'm such an animal girly too. And like, I left Wyoming young, but I had family there and we had a cabin there. So we'd go back every summer. And I am as much a rural mountain girl as I am like a city life. Like I love both sides of it. And it's just, you have to have a car to get there here. And then there's not much offered. There's not many places there, and I also think that we need to adapt to Native culture. There's so much Native influence in Nevada, and we don't bring it into the tourism and we don't embrace it. And I think it'd be a beautiful time to really honor the natives that are here and what they have to offer in terms of like, when I was in Australia, that was the student ambassador program. We got to work with the indigenous people there, the Aborigines, and it was the coolest experience. Like I was 14. I remember it 22 years later. They brought us to the Aborigines and we got to learn their dances. We got to learn how to play the instruments. We got to like be one with the animals and sleep under the stars. And to this day, it was one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had. I'm like, kids love that. Families love that. And it didn't cost a lot of money, but it would make people choose to stay here 7 days versus 12 hours again.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So that's tourism, baby.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I have like 2 more questions for you at least. Because you've only been in Vegas really since 2022, but it sounds like you've had so many experiences coming to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? Why do you feel this is on your heart to do for the Vegas community?
Oh, yeah. Good question. I feel like I'm abandoning people if I move back to LA because I've considered it. I've considered moving to LA or altogether just leaving the country and going to Europe because Europe if you're a part of the European Union, they will commission you to create your own dances and art for no qualms. You don't have to like give back to society, which is still a good thing. But like, here a nonprofit, they're like, well, what are you doing? What's your thing? And so sometimes you have to like write this narrative into your show that actually doesn't make sense with your original vision. So I really thought about like moving to Europe.
Yeah, because like no one's forcing you to do this.
Right. No one's forcing me to be here. A lot of people are like, girl, just move back to LA. Like it's dry here too, but at least when you do get the jobs, it's more money. And I'm like, I can't leave. And everyone's like, why? I'm like, the people work so hard here. The communities are so beautiful. The dance community is so supportive. Part of it's we have no traffic. So people here think we do, but we don't compared to like Houston and Philly and New York and LA. But it's easy to get from point A to point B, so we can support each other. But still, I'm like, it's a supportive dance community. You go to Carnival and you got circus artists there. You got your freestylers there. You got singers there, dancers. Everyone shows up. You like Bougie Block hosts an event of battlers. I'm not a battler. I will go to every single one if I'm available. And I think you watch the like grit. I cry about it thinking I'm like, I honestly, the guilt I would have in my heart if I left behind Nevadans. And not just us, it's everyone. Like, I've talked to so many veterans here and I learn about state laws against them. And like, most of them have no way to exist. Most of them end up going into poverty because the state's not protecting. The empath in me, I will cry and I'm like, Nevada works way too hard. They're working like 3 times the amount of hours. It's like normal to work 60 to 80 hours here for almost everyone. And yet they can't make ends meet. And the state has got to get it together. I think about the kids and how like they're at least exposed to culture and art, but like the education, it's not fair that they don't get the education that other states. I just truly feel that I have a calling here and I cannot leave, at least knowing I tried.
I love that.
Yeah. I'm like, the people work too hard. They're good people. They're honest people. They take pride in what they do. And everyone is serving someone else. The state relies on servitude, essentially. And so it's like, they deserve something in return. And I'm going to make that happen. You watch me.
So your big launch,
yes,
right?
Yes,
is on the 21st.
Yes, Wednesday, January 21st. It is from 6 to 9 p.m. No, that's a lie. It is from 8 to 11. Sorry, I had a venue change literally in the last 24 hours. So, yeah, I know. But you know what? Can I tell a story real quick?
Oh my God, yeah.
This is an example of how entertainers need to be in charge because they get stuff done in a way that they get you done. Other people would be in panic in half the scenarios we're in. So I had been working with a venue for a couple months about the launch. I have booked 20 performers. And because my launch is not standard, it's going to showcase what a vision into the future looks like, bringing the glitz, the glam back, but making it accessible to everyone. Also, insight to tourism.
I'm actually really sad that I can't be there because I am flying to visit home on the 21st. So I'm really upset because I was really looking forward to it. Anyway.
No worries, because once I get elected, this is what it's going to be like all the time. So
anyway,
yeah, no worries. So yeah, I was in a bit of a panic. The venue accidentally double booked 2 events at the same time, and it wasn't the same person. They had 2 different people book. And so I was like scrambling to find a new space. And that's the one thing about Vegas is people rent out spaces months, sometimes years in advance. And I was like, oh no, now I have to find a space that can hold like 85 to 200 people. I need to hold a space that has audio built in and like a DJ table already ready to go. I need to find a space with like video capacity that has more than 1 bathroom, more than 2 bathroom stalls, that I can set up a table in the front for voter registration, that has ample amount of parking, that is like easy to find on a map. Like you don't have to like go through like a treasure map to like get to. And I was like, oh, that's also within the budget.
Oh, yep. All the things.
The budget. Because the thing is, even though I am running as a Democrat, but I am not endorsed by the Democrats. So, like, it's just to educate everyone out there, you can run for any party. It doesn't mean you're being funded by the party.
Mm-hmm.
And because I am I really want to stick to my labor laws, to my healthcare laws, to a lot of my agenda may not be able to happen if I take money from certain people. And so I'm opting out of corporate donations and donations from the Democrat Party so that I can still stay true to what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I'm running on individual grassroots donations. So the budget's going to be a little bit less than some of my opponents, which is great. It's fine because it's what we do. And that is the whole point, that I can take an economy that's struggling and make it work. I can take people that cancel last minute and bail, and I can make it work. So I was like, I have 24 hours to find a venue. I toured all these venues. I called all these people. I probably sent over 50 emails. I found a venue. It's perfect. It's great. And then the original venue, they were so sweet. Like they were so apologetic and nice about it. And so now my after party is going to be at their sister place. And so we get to bring both of the places in. But yeah, so it's at the Uncommons. It's general. I keep calling it General Assembly because the word assembly is glued to my mind, but it's general admissions. Which I think is kind of cool because general admission, it's like a ticket sale, and this is like a ticket to the future of Nevada. Or it was meant to happen, you know. But it's going to be from 8 to 11 p.m. And then the after party where people can talk one-on-one, FaceTime with me, that you can dance with me, or you can ask me any policy questions you want. That's what it's there for. It will be at Piranha in the Fruit Loop. Mm-hmm. And both like a historical place, an homage to the LGBTQ community, an homage to the drag community, and of course, arts and entertainment. That is our home. That is our hub. That is our safe space. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll have performers there. We have like mariachi, singers, rappers, live painters, burlesque, drag, contortion, spoken word, freestylers, crumpers. A lot of performers will be there. And then I will give my speeches. It won't be like this. My speeches are going to be like 60 seconds because you already heard it. You'll get to ask me questions one-on-one. But the point of this campaign launch is to showcase what Nevada is missing, right? People think, okay, well, it's an entertainment city. Las Vegas is the entertainment city and capital of the world, but quote, they kind of turn their back on entertainers. And they're not really offering the entertainment they could be because they don't know. They're not creative producers. They're not choreographers. They're not creative directors. And so, like, you know how it is. We go into a space and we're always like, oh, this would be so sick if we could have 6 fire performers here. Now, here's the thing is like, they don't even know that fire performers can do choreography because there is no show in Vegas that has choreographed fire performers because they think it's all freestyle. And I'm like, well, that's because of permits. That's because you need a fire safety for every 2 dancer. You know, they just don't know what's possible. They just copy and paste, repeat, and remix what they've already seen. Anyway, so the launch is a little insight to that. I don't have the space to like do like more than 3 dancers at a time, but I have like a lot of Dita dancers are performing. Allison Burke's performing. There's going to be jazz and yeah. Oh. So depending when people are watching this, you might be watching this after the launch already happens, but maybe it already happened. There will be photos, videos, and press there. If it's before, everyone is invited other than it is a 21 and up event. And yeah, but the first 100 people who come get a free drink. So yay.
Ooh.
Yes, yes.
I love it. And if people want to, I still have one more question left, but since we're on this topic, I want to keep that going or keep the momentum going. If people want to either get involved, help you out, learn more,
Yeah.
what is the best way for them? I know you sent me all the links, and so I can put those in the description.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Honestly, send me a DM on Instagram
okay.
because I just created a channel on WhatsApp. I know it's not the ideal one for political runs, but I was like, I cannot ask dancers to download any more apps. We already have like Discord, Slack, all of them. So I created a BridgieNix for Nevada channel with topics within each one, and then there's a general. I am not asking for no, you can join the channel and never volunteer, and that is fine. Sometimes I need something as small as sharing what I posted, sharing my donation links, which are in my bio. You can share them as much as you want. Meta passed some new policies around political accounts, and now all of us are pretty restricted. So my stuff does not get seen. A lot of my messaging doesn't get seen. They passed it on all Meta platforms, Facebook, Instagram. And so sometimes I just need to go skirt around the shadow bans. I need people to like my stuff, share it to their stories, save it, comment on it, engage with it. That's super helpful. And then I will need, like in the future, I'll need phone banking, canvassing, volunteers at events, people to send emails for me. Right now, because it's grassroots, I cannot pay everyone's a volunteer. However, I am doing kind of like back pay. For some people, I'm like, if I meet this dollar amount, I will pay you $500, that kind of thing for donations. But anyone can join, and then I'll post what I need volunteer-wise in there.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know we kind of get scared because people ask us to do so much free work that we're like, I can't at this time. Just join the group chat. And if you never volunteer, it's okay. But sometimes it's literally, can you just like this post? Can you just put a like on it? So yeah. But I would say Instagram DM is the best. I do check my DMs daily. Even the filtered ones, I check them. And so I will see it. I promise. Yeah.
Oh, yay.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. I do have one more question.
Yeah.
I ask all my guests.
No,
What's your funniest story as a performer?
Ooh, there's so many.
There's always so many, and it's great.
I want to write a book with visuals. The visuals have to be included. I'll tell you one from this summer. I don't know if it's more funny or embarrassing. I think in 5 years it'll be funny. It's still kind of fresh, so I'm like, ee! I was in a show this summer. It was burlesque. And it was a horror-themed burlesque show. It's called Nightmare on Strip Street. It's the same company who does Empire Strips Back here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, same company. And
I think I had a friend do that.
Yes.
And where did you do it at?
In Denver.
Oh, okay.
San Francisco or Portland?
I think she did the San Francisco.
Max?
Her name's McKenna.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay.
Same show.
Yeah.
Same show. I did the Denver one, which was not a temporary. They did it as a 5-month residency, which is why I moved to Denver this summer. But horror themed, which we didn't talk about it, but just for anyone out there, side note, I love spooky shit. People call me Hello Queen.
Oh.
I love Halloween. I love dressing up. I love scaring people. I've worked in a lot of haunted houses. It is so fun. But so I do this audition and I was like, oh my gosh, I get to combine dance and burlesque with Halloween. There's not a better show for me. And I was a soloist, Freddy Krueger, who then has like a champagne glass burlesque soloist after. So it is burlesque. There are moments where you strip. There are moments where there's tease. You're not supposed to show anything. That's important. It is still dance. It is still like you're covered up. And so the week before, I'm a sweaty girl. I'm a sweaty girly, and pasties are a struggle for me. I now have a system. I body glue first and foremost. I do a bottom layer. I body glue and stick on pasty, but I had red pasties for this. They were rhinestone. And so then I tape the pasty over the other pasty on pasty, so that there can be no mishaps. Because the week before, whatever, you only see the pasty for half of a second and you're fully covered the rest of the time. But at the very end, I had a little nip slip and I was like, no, right? That's not the embarrassing part of the story. Okay, you'd think that would be. That I was like, it's half second, then it's blackout. No one saw anything. So the next week, though, I was paranoid. So I'm really putting it on. I'm double checking. I double checked my pasties so many times. And I was a little ill. I was having a hard time adapting to the altitude. I was the only person that wasn't from Colorado, and I got severe altitude sickness. And in the show right before, I threw up 3 times between during a quick change, projectiled, I ran off stage, and you wear masks. It's all latex
Yeah.
masks in this.
Ooh.
And so there's nowhere to breathe. And, and like, anyway, I still made it back from my quick change. And let me tell you, I actually beat some people on that quick change. And they'll tell you too. So,
Yeah, you
with
did.
my projectile. So now I've like just gotten sick. Altitude sickness is a little bit hot. And I'm paranoid from the week before, a little bit triggered. And I forget to put my bra on over the pasties. So it's pasties, bra, the bra that comes off, Freddy Krueger outfit over it. And it's like 2 songs, Sweet Dreams going into S&M. And I love the character because I get to come out like really creepy and spooky, which is my vibe. And I'm like, boom, 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 coming out all fears, climbing. I like take off the first layer of stuff, the pants and the mask. And then I get in the champagne glass and I'm like vibing. And then I have this part. And I'm okay to say this publicly because like choreographer knows, creative director knows. I immediately said an apology and I was like, I would never sabotage the show. I'm so sorry. And they were so like sweet about it. Like they know I wasn't trying to have a moment up there. And I would take this off just for the visual. I have this part where I'm like, and I take off the sweater. But I'm like, wow, this usually gets caught on the rhinestones and it's like not getting caught. And then I was like, and I'm on stage. I'm like the solo act and there's 5 more minutes of this act left. And really the pasties only need to hold up for like 1 second. And I was like, I didn't put my bra on. There's no bra on. There's no bra on my body. It's just sweater and the pasty. And the number is dance heavy. So it's not like your normal burlesque show where like it's so slow. It's like we're bouncing, we're hair whipping, we're doing a leg. And like I'm like the chance that a pasty could fall off is high. Yeah. And I was like, and I kept repeating the same 8 as if like the bra was gonna pop back on. And I was like, God, help me out. And then I was like, it's not coming. I can't just keep doing this. So finally I was like, fuck it. And I just stripped the whole thing. Pasty stayed intact. I did the whole thing. And it was, I blacked out. You know the blackout.
Oh, yeah.
But I had so much fun.
Oh, okay.
I had so much fun. It was the loudest cheer I ever got. The audience was like, yeah. My hair whipped more than my hair should ever whip, especially with this neck. My ponche was probably like way past 6 o'clock. I don't know. And I was so embarrassed after though. And my wardrobe comes off. Everyone is on the side knows. They're like, what happened to the bra? And I was like, I don't know. I've never done anything like that in my entire career. I made it decades as a performer. And my first time was this last year. And I was like, ooh, that one got me. That one. I'm still like a little traumatized. Like I'm still like a little embarrassed. But, everyone knew it wasn't intentional. I sent a huge apology to the creative director and choreographer. And they were like, well, let's just be grateful that your pasties held on this week. And I was like, no, I body glued and taped them. Don't you worry. They're never coming off. They are a part of me now. But like also keep in mind this whole thing happened with a Freddy Krueger like slasher hand on. That's what makes it like kind of funny. Because I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, hello, I'm going to get you. And this was actually one of those moments of like service where I'm like, people come to us to tune out from the world. Because this was, I think, shortly after the bombings in Iran had happened. And there was a certain point where I was like, I am so lucky to be doing what I'm doing during this chaos of the world. Like, I'm in a Halloween show, burlesque, as Freddy Krueger in a champagne glass, and doing choreography, having fun. I had a great cast, great stage managers. One of the coolest groups of people I've ever worked with. There was not one day of drama. There was not one fight. Nothing bad happened. Yeah. Like, not for months. Yeah. Not one. Lovely. Crazy. And
lovely.
Yeah, it was one of those moments of gratitude though where I was like, it is so special. I remember actually crying in one of my masks on stage one time because I was like, we had a sold out show every day. Denver was so supportive. And this was in the summer, Halloween in the summer. Yeah. But it is so cool that we get to take people it's escapism. Oh, yeah. Art is escapism. And that's also why I think Nevada's missing the mark right now because people need escapism and we used to have it for them. And now all we offer is alcohol, gambling, and sports, and like technology. Yeah. That's not escapism. That's kind of what people want to, minus sports. But like that's the other stuff is kind of what people want to escape from. So like their efforts to get rid of entertainment has kind of killed the industry. But if they allow it back in, which they will with the right people in charge, I do think it's going to boost spirits. People are going to be happier. It's going to boost the economy locally. It's also going to make people want to come here. Everyone's going to be happy. And it doesn't matter what your political party is, or even if you're not political. Everyone will benefit from the return of art and entertainment here.
Love that. Love that. Period. If there's one thing you want people to take away from this position that you're stepping into, what would that be?
Stop being scared to go for the things that you tell yourself you can't do. Get rid of the imposter syndrome. Stop self-sabotaging your success. I mean, it's taken work for me to get to that for myself. And I think back to some of the things I've seen in old journal entries or posts I've made, and I'm like, I had the power, but I didn't believe in myself. And that's really what's changed in my 30s. That is really cool. Not just for advocacy, but also as a creative. I think sometimes the older you get, the more we can be mean about ourselves. Like, I don't have the technique. I don't have this. I don't have the energy. Oh my gosh, they replaced me with this younger dancer, which I know like people outside of our industry are like 30s is young. And it is. Like, I'm young and full of life. Don't get me wrong. But in our industry, it is something that happens. And terrible. But cat's always got my tongue. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's a really well-known choreographer and an artist I respect so much. Like, I adore her. I respect her. I really think she's so cool. And a lot of people do. Like, she's up there on a pedestal. Like, she is respected. And she reached out to me being like, you've given me so much of the strength to go for the things that I never thought I could go for. And I'm just so inspired by you. And it's really made me rethink my whole career. And I'm over here worshiping her. And I'm like, girl, you inspire me. What? And it's one of those things where I'm like, she's a female, and it does happen to a lot of women. We're kind of, it's hard for us to feel like we can take up space. Like we feel like we're not allowed. But I just want everyone, regardless of gender, know that you can take up space, be a little bit delusional. If you believe in yourself, you're going to find a way to make it happen. And you'll be super surprised who you inspire along the way. And like, it doesn't cost money. I don't know. True. It doesn't cost money. There's so many things we can go for. Just believe in yourself. Like, really believe in yourself. I hated when people told me that 10 years ago. I was like, yeah, okay. I was such a cynic. But you got to do it. You got to believe in yourself and just stop getting in your own way. Go for the thing, because like, you could die any second. And like, what's the point of dying and not trying? You can fail. Who cares if you fail? Go on to the next thing. That's a redirection. Oh, is that the quote? Failure is a redirection. Gosh, I'm going to come up with that quote. That's actually going to be the cover of this.
Oh, I love it. Well, that is all I have question-wise. Thank you so much for spending time.
Absolutely.
And I'm so excited for
I'm
you.
so excited. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Before the Curtain. Please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever it is you listen to the podcast. We love to hear your virtual round of applause. If you know of a production or artist that deserves to have their story told, send us an email or message us on Instagram by clicking the link in the description.